How do you feel?
Well, I feel great. This project, I'm not kidding you, has been the dream of a lifetime.
I bet.
I've wanted to work on a project of this caliber for many, many, many decades, and I can't believe it finally happened.
Oh, man. So how long have you been at Disney?
I started at Disney in 1978, believe it or not, on The Fox and the Hound, and worked on The Black Cauldron, Roger Rabbit. Then I art directed Pocahontas.
Yeah.
And so this is my second art direction effort on Frozen.
That is so cool. Those are some, like, the greatest films of Disney, though. So
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun. But this is really the icing on the cake. I mean, this project offered everything imaginable. I mean, we have incredible environments that I think are staggeringly beautiful. Very complicated to create the Ice Palace.
What was the biggest thing that you guys learned as you guys were doing this film? Like in Wreck-It Ralph, you had something that you learned, and in Brave, it was the hair. What was the biggest thing here?
A lot of things, a lot of big things, a lot of big firsts in this movie. The first one is really understanding ice, frost, and snow, and how to create it so that it's believable in a fantasy environment. And the Ice Palace, with all the refraction and reflection, was very complicated to do. So that was a huge artistic and technological undertaking. Probably the second one, and I was bound and determined to do it on this project, was to create it's a big movie, and it's big in scope and scale and epic in nature, which you'll see. But I also wanted to create a costume film, just like live action does, and not just a costume movie where, those costumes are pleasant. I wanted to make it just like Adrian would do in The Wizard of Oz, or any Vincent Minnelli musical, or Singing in the Rain, a big costume film. So the costumes in this film, as well as the hairstyles, are the most complex that you've ever seen in a CG animated film, ever. The level of detail, the level of intricacy, the textures, fabrics, it has really, really set the bar.
So what took you up to the north?
Well, the story of the Snow Queen and the illustrations that have been done in many, many books for decades and decades were always Nordic in nature, Scandinavian in general, and then as far east as Russia. So I always knew it would take place up there somewhere because, of course, Hans Christian Andersen, was born and bred in Denmark. But we chose Norway specifically because it offered, two huge things for us for this movie. And the first one were the fjords. And I thought, wouldn't it be fantastic to set this kingdom of Arendelle within a fjord? And that just blew me away, that I thought, no one has ever seen a classic Disney tale in this kind of environment before. Because I thought, by placing it within a fjord, the environment becomes one of the characters in the movie. It's not just a beautiful setting, it's a big environment.
So explain what a fjord is.
A fjord is a huge, and they only exist in Norway, a fjord is a huge, massive rock face that where there's very still water below it, and these rock faces just shoot up sheer hundreds of feet. So they're extremely, extremely dramatic. And we set our Castle of Arendelle below, at the bottom of this fjord. So here you have this castle compound, and then these huge fjords that jut up vertically above it. And I thought, wow, this is a different take on a Disney classic tale, because most fairy tale castles are up on a mountain or a promontory and they look down on a valley. This is entirely different. I wanted to switch it up. Because every time you get an assignment, you think, oh my God, how can we take a classic tale and visually make it different so that the audience sees, oh my gosh, this is a completely unique environment that we have not seen in Snow White or Sleeping Beauty or Beauty and the Beast. So that's why I thought, set the castle and make it kind of horizontal against this vertical fjord. So I thought that'd be a really cool look. So you'll see what it looks like when you see the movie. I think it's pretty dramatic.
Yeah.
And then when you see the climax of our movie, you can really see how the fjord plays a huge, huge role in it. So it's not it's not just a pretty environment. The fjord has a big, big, big role, and it's one of the most thrilling endings that I've seen. It's thrilling and then ultimately very touching. So I hope you brought a handkerchief.
So how was it doing with music?
Well, I've always been a huge fan of musicals my whole life. I've always loved, it's one of the most distinctive American genres of film, and particularly Disney. You know, what's Disney really without a great score and great songs and great music? So when they combined this incredible story, this incredible narrative, with the visuals of Norway, with the music, it was just a home run for me. I have never wanted to work on a project more than this one. Seriously. I really wanted this project.
Was there anything like specific to the project in general that was like, that is mine?
Yeah, in general, it was just that it was a classic tale, and in my career, I'd never gotten to work on one. For one reason or another, Beauty and the Beast came along. I wasn't involved with that. Mermaid came along. I wasn't involved with that. And when I would see them, I really enjoyed them, but I thought, oh, how I would have loved to have been a part of it. And so when this one came, I've been on it 4 years. 4 years ago, I started on it. And I knew it had something special. It had a great environment, and it always had a heart to it. Even though the story was very, very different back then, 4 years ago, it always had a core of potential that we all knew was extremely special. So a co-director, Chris Buck, we went to school together at CalArts. We started in 1976 with John Lasseter. And so we've all been friends for many, many decades now. This is the first time even though Chris and I have worked together in different capacities on other projects, Pocahontas and Fox and Hound, and early development work on Roger Rabbit, this is the closest we've worked together. And it's just been a thrill, a real thrill. And with John right by our side, I mean, John Lasseter truly is the most incredible leader you could ever want. And I told him, I said, John, I did not want to see my career go by without working with you in a really close capacity. So for all these reasons, I wanted this project more than anything else. So we hope the audience will feel all the excitement that we all had. And I'm not kidding you, we were all excited about the potential of this project when it was rebooted 2 years ago.
Carry this with me with my dress and everything.
We both have, right?
We
have a very special something for you to share.
A little gift here.
Just thank you for being such great supporters.
And I'm coming with you.
You're coming with you.
Biggest supporters. We have a little